What's going on, people? Welcome back to the match preview. The Palace are back, and this time we are facing Leicester at Selhurst Park. And I'm joined by T, Nick, and Patrick here to discuss that game and more. International break is over, so make sure to get involved by leaving down your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, if you do enjoy the content, it helps us out massively. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Gents, Palace are back. How are we feeling? And normally international break is a good time to kind of evaluate what's been going on at Palace. Well, not much. I mean, we've only played 3 games. For me, going into the international break, I felt like we needed it, Nick. For you, now that we're approaching the game against Leicester, are you excited? Are you refreshed?
I'm looking forward to seeing our new players. I was just looking at our squad on the club website, and we've got a plethora of players now, apart from up top where it's only listed 3. But I'm looking forward to seeing, a rested Mateta, a couple of other players that are rested, but bringing the new players in, getting them into the training. We've seen, who's the guy from Chelsea? You know what I'm like with names.
Trevor Chalobah.
I've seen a few socials with him looking like he's enjoying training. So it's been good for Glasner to actually be able to get players where he needs them to be, because with the Olympics being so late, we know how that seemed to affect Mateta. All right, he had his scoring boots on against Norwich, but he just looked a yard short of pace. So yeah, I mean the thing I'm most excited about is who's in, who's out. You know, a player's going to be brought in straight away, and will the system stay the same, or will it be slightly tweaked as we got new players coming in?
Yeah, well, look, I can drop an exclusive right now. There will be someone at Selhurst that we haven't seen in a long time, and that'll be Patrick. He won't be starting for us, I don't think. But Patrick,
I'm thinking, where's this going?
how are you feeling, Patrick? I know you're gonna have the flight the day before the game, so you might be a bit tired, but we were just literally discussing it. I mean, even going into this game, in comparison to the last time around when you came against Bournemouth, it feels like the whole atmosphere, even like the squads, there's been a lot of changes. How are you looking forward to this game?
Well, first, you talk about what I'm getting in. I actually flew in. When I went to the FA Cup final, I flew in the morning of the game, that Saturday morning for the FA Cup final. So I'm used to coming late for the game, so that's not a big deal. I'm looking forward to it. Listen, I'm lucky enough to see Glasner and the team train, and obviously the game over here in Maryland. So I got a feel for the team, but this different vibe. Having Glasner in charge, and as Nick was saying, the new players. I watched the training video with Chalobah and Nketiah. It'll be fun. It'll be nice to see the debuts of some of those players hopefully on Saturday. But just in general, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, for me, the season starts now. I mean, we got through the first 3 matches. We survived basically, the injuries and the losing Olise, losing Anderson. We've got a squad now. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to the game, especially to be there on Saturday.
The one thing that I agree with you there, and let's ask T as well. Let's bring T into the conversation. Is our season starts now. It sounds a bit cliche, but it does start now for many different reasons. I don't know whether you agree or not, T, but as Nick has mentioned, as Patrick has mentioned here as well, look, going into the international break, we needed this break. I mean, the Euros, Copa America kind of ruined our preseason, and we saw it against Brentford and then even against West Ham, but slowly we've improved, fatigue, injuries, replacing players and not having the replacements ready due to deadlines for squad before game days or games happening right before Anderson got sold. Like, it's just been chaotic. And because of the talented players that we've got, with them representing at the very top, especially with England and Colombia and even JP with France in the Olympics, it hasn't helped us at all. But we've had this reset now, and I do think that the season starts in this game against Leicester. We saw the glimpses of the old Palace against Chelsea. Now that Glasner's worked with the new players for 2 weeks, some players have got rest, such as Wharton and Mateta. It does feel refreshing going into this game, and it is a game that holds high expectations from me. I don't know about you, but we need to go into this game. We'll talk about score predictions later, but with the mentality that we really need to win, especially with Leicester at home.
Yeah, I think the idea of, or the, like you said, the cliche of, hey, the season starts now. I think the antithesis of it is just the fact that um, right now we have the team that we're going to have moving forward until the next window. So it's just an idea of, hey, now we've got everybody in. Let's go. Let's play. Let's see how things work out. So I guess that's kind of the feeling and understanding why somebody feels the way of saying something like that, and it completely makes sense. I mean, I think that's why there was talk prior to now of ending the transfer window prior to the season beginning, just so that there isn't so much flux that you're dealing with as a club, as as fans and things, once the season gets rolling. Because here we are at was it is this match four?
Yeah.
Match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are, match 4, and we now have a completely solidified team that we know is going to be the guys that we have moving forward until the new year. So yeah, I mean, the anticipation is really high because we had a very busy deadline day, which is different than we had
What
in the
was
past.
different with the old days, T, when we didn't have a transfer window, you could buy and sell players at any time, pretty much.
At any time, yeah.
When was that?
You could just lose before you were born, probably, T. I can't remember
There we
when the
go.
first transfer window was.
Shows his age again.
1925,
Nice one.
I think. I've never heard of that, so it's not
the
90s.
transfer window is relatively new compared to me and Patrick, anyway.
So it could just. So I mean,
Patrick is throwing you under the bus there as well. He brought you in as well. He brought you in as
Patrick,
well. So apparently, transfer windows are new. Patrick, thoughts? I mean, is it new? You never told me about this.
Yeah, they're relatively new, but I don't know why Nick has to bring that up in the middle of T's long. I don't know. I don't.
I'm
see
not
the point.
against it.
No, he makes a great point though. Like so even leading up to this, there was a time when it was just kind of wild west, and you have to deal with what comes. But luckily we know who our guys are going to be moving forward, and there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement to see not only how guys play, but in what roles we're going to see guys playing, whether they're going to be starting or coming from the bench. So I'll put it to you like this, D, because I know we're going to do our score predictions. Can we do a lineup prediction? I think that would be kind of fun too.
Well, I'm
talk about lineup. We're going to talk about lineup because, of course, the new players. Who do we think will start? But before we do get into the lineup, as it's international break, as we've had a bit of time to reflect on the transfer window as well, Nick, going into this, I mean, you've seen a lot of Palace teams, as you've mentioned. You've even seen you've even seen times when there was no transfer window. But do you think? I don't know. It's your, let's hear what you think. But do you think that this is the strongest squad that Palace could be potentially going into a Premier League game? Well, since getting promoted, or since whenever you've watched Palace potentially?
No, but only because França and Lerma are injured. Were they fit?
We don't know if they could be back. Well, Lerma's back. Lerma is back. So yeah, Lerma. It was a minor injury. França, I'm not too sure about, even though he's been in the backgrounds of the Nketiah and Lacroix videos, like he's just been training there. So Palace have, included him in the backgrounds. But if they are fit, is that the case?
Yeah. Although the season that we had, that there have been seasons where we've had strong squads and the players that we've had. But yeah, we've got more depth than we've ever had, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean by squad. Patrick, you're looking sideways saying, have we?
Yeah, if you're talking about Premier League, I don't think it's a close. This is definitely the best one we've ever had. I don't think it's even close, honestly. I think the depth we have at striker, the centre halves, the midfield 4 that we have. I mean, if we had a wing back and a right wing back and left wing back cover, I mean, it'd be one of the best scores in the Premier League. So how can it not be one of the best scores we've ever had? But yeah, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, I looked it up real I looked it up, Nick. What year were you born, D?
2000.
Yeah, the transfer window started in 2002.
Okay.
So you wouldn't have known about when you were 2 years old. Yeah, you were alive though. You were alive.
He's looking like I just dropped like the passcode to like Da Vinci's Code or whatever.
Born in 2000 is mad. Oh my gosh. Oh my
growing old,
goodness.
AT. You're growing old, my man.
Oh, I'm old, bro. I'm old. I'm sorry. I'm old.
But I was just looking at the squads. We got the 3 goalies there. We've got 10 at the back. I don't know why Rob Holding's still on the page. What's happened with Rod Holding? I know I've heard about Mateta's strike for kicking the corner flag, but Rob Holding seems to have taken everything down from social media and training separately. So he's still named in the squad. But who have we got to pick from to pay from the back? Let's just go through it. We've got
I'll be honest,
Ward, Mitchell, Holding, Lacroix, Gay, Munoz, Klein, Richards, and Riyadh. Now you've got to pick 5 out of those to play our back 3 and wide 2. Who are you going?
We're not having it. Well, let's see. Hopefully I don't jinx it, but I don't think if we're having a problem where Rob Holding must be playing, then geez, like we're probably like fighting relegation at that point. Because I mean, we've got Lacroix, we've got Chalobah, we've got Gahey, we've got Richards, we got Riyadh, who's out injured, and then on top of that, we've seen Klein play centre back. Lerma could potentially play there. I mean, we've got loads of options there. So Rob Holding, look, things have happened behind the scenes. He's removed all his posts on social media. Low risk signing. I don't think anyone's going to lose sleep over Rob Holding not being part of Palace's squad, and he'll leave. He'll eventually leave. So yeah, I mean, there's so many more players to talk about than Rob.
Everybody will eventually leave.
What was that?
Everybody will eventually leave. You know, even Owen Garvin, he said he'd be there longer than anybody else.
Yeah, well, everyone will leave one day. You know what I mean? That like even one day we're going to be leaving. Technically, Palace. Like we're not going to be here forever. So no, that is correct. That is correct. But let's talk about the new players then. I think this is where the dilemma begins. When is it too early to bring in some of these new players, Patrick?
I think it depends a lot on availability and fitness. I think that I would have no issue with one of the new players going into the back 3. Obviously, with Riyadh being out, you really only have 2 true centre halves that have been playing most of the season. That's Richards and Gahey. So if Chalobah comes in or Lacroix, I'd have no problem with that. I know everyone's saying keep Klein in. Klein's he's not a centre back by trade. He's a right back. He can play there. I get it, but he's not a true centre back. We have a fit Lacroix or Chalobah. For me, they start over him. And honestly, the only real issue is Nketiah. Now, what do? Do you change the system for one player? Do you just wait and take him bring him off the bench? He obviously is going to be ready to go on Saturday and want to start. But there's no reason right now to drop Mateta. I'm not really sure you force Nketiah in as a 10. He's not really a 10. So again, going back, I think definitely Lacroix or Chalobah start, and then Nketiah for me, possibly. But again, I wouldn't force him in the lineup right now.
Yeah, well, let's start with the defense, and then we'll move up the pitch. Let's talk about Lacroix and Chalobah. I think one of them should be starting, but is there a case for both of them to start? Because would it be? I mean, Richards is there. I know Klein isn't a centre back, but would it be harsh to drop maybe Richards? Do you start one of them? Do you not change at all? I mean, with the defense, realistically, I think one should be starting. It makes sense for one to be starting, especially when you have Klein playing there. But the question is, what happens with Richards? Because maybe that's not as straightforward, or is it? Do you bring in Chalobah early on?
You know, I feel like this is a conversation that goes either way. You know, I think there are going to be some people that feel like, oh, we've got Chalobah steps in immediately, and others that feel like, you know, it would be harsh to drop Chris Richards. And I think I'm more along the lines of the fact that I feel it's a little bit more harsh to drop Chris Richards, because I think he's been playing really well for us overall. I feel like out of the 2, I feel like Lacroix has the higher potential of stepping in immediately, mostly due to the fact that I feel like he fits more seamlessly into what Glasner wants to do, because he has an understanding of the system. Like he's his guy. You know, he knows the system. Kind of how we saw with Daichi stepping in preseason. Like it was boom from day one. He was in there. You know, mind you, he changed positions a little bit, but he had that flexibility because he understood the roles in both situations. So I think I could see LaCroix being the one to step in, be on that right side in place of a Klein, because then you now have Klein to be our backup for Munoz, which most people may feel like he's not apt or up to quality, but we have what we have, and he fills that role for us at this point in time.
The good thing with the Klein there, though, is that we've got somebody who can be a sub for two positions now that he wasn't before, because nobody would have thought putting him at centre back when we were forward back. I just want to ask a question about the Chalobah loan. Now, I know in the past there have been some loans where one of the prerequisites for the loan is the player gets to play a certain amount of games as part of the loan agreement. Do we know if any of that's gone on?
Well, I don't think we've guaranteed any game time, but then again, you would expect Chalobah to be joining Palace because he will be playing. I don't expect Chalobah to join Palace to sit on the bench. And if he's had 2 weeks now of training, and he's got to know the manager a bit better, and also some of his new teammates, I know what he's saying in terms of maybe starting LaCroix because he knows the manager better than maybe Chalobah does. But also you can make the argument that Chalobah knows the Premier League better than LaCroix does because he's got a way to solve this in the back three. So is there a case for both of them starting in this game, despite Richards not really putting a foot wrong, Nick?
Yeah, maybe, but do you replace 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3? And to me, the logic would say keep 2 players together that have been playing together for a little while rather than changing the vast majority of it. Of course, the one solution is we just play 8 at the back.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, we can do that. I watched the training video today, which was actually from the day before the Chelsea match, and LaCroix didn't even train. He wasn't in any of the videos. Chalobah looked really good, but I know he's so technically gifted.
Scoring goals. I don't know about him scoring goals.
Right, but the outside of the right foot shot was ridiculous. But just watching the video, I'm sure LaCroix's up to speed now. But on that day, he wasn't training. Remember, he came back from Germany. He was actually carrying some kind of little ankle knock. Maybe that was it. But for me, I'm not really sure. Like Nick said, 1 out of 3. Yeah, there's no reason. Listen, there's no reason to replace Chris Richard at this point, unless he comes back from America. Then they play tonight, right? T, or is it tomorrow? They play Tuesday,
they play tonight.
Right. Unless he gets injured, I don't see why you replace him. And again, to put 2 new players next to Gahey, it's a big ask for Gahey, who thankfully isn't playing in England today. He'll get a rest at least. So I think, again, it's LaCroix or Chalobah, but it's not going to be both, in my opinion, anyway.
I would like both. Because I think eventually we're going to go and play with both anyways. So I would rather try both of them out against Leicester, which they're good enough to handle that attack, then maybe against the likes of Man United. I mean, it'd be better to learn off there.
How about QPR on Tuesday then? That makes more sense to me then.
Well, they can play probably the QPR, Saturday and also Tuesday.
Okay. 1 minute to the ground.
Doing even more games playing together. I'll start both. I honestly would. I don't think Richards really put a foot wrong, but then again, I don't look. Maybe. With Chalobah, I expect Chalobah to start playing games. And I expect also LaCroix to be playing games because LaCroix is Glasner's option. He's been mentioned all summer long for a reason. So it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if both of them start. But let us know in the comment section what you lot think. Let's move on to the midfield. I know we haven't had any new signings in midfield, but I think it's a good point to now mention Doucouré. Is this the game now Doucouré finally starts? Because the impact that he had in the Chelsea game was significant. And I'm not saying Will Hughes has been a bad player for us because it's totally the opposite. I think he's transformed under Glasner. But you see it. Doucouré is just a level above him, regardless of how good Will Hughes plays. Would we all be happy with Doucouré starting in this game? Or is it still a case of caution? Because it is confusing. Even in that game, I mean, Glasner did say that he kind of got away with it by not bringing on Doucouré at half-time. So it seemed like he wasn't 100% fit. Then I don't know if he's 100% fit. Now it's a bit confusing with Doucouré.
Well, he's had an extra 2 weeks to rest or get up to speed. I'd forgotten how good Doucouré was because I thought Will Hughes was doing a really, really good job But the difference Decore made when he came on for Hughes, we were like a completely different team. It was a completely different gravy, and I felt quite guilty. Well, not guilty, but I thought, oh, maybe Hughes isn't as good as we thought he was, or maybe he is. It's just that Decore is better. And I feel sad for Hughes because I feel he's going to really struggle to break back into the team now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there are levels of football, and Decore and Hughes, with all due respect, there's not a comparison. When both are 100% fit, one was talking about going to Liverpool for 80 million, and one just came from Watford. I mean, I like Will Hughes; he does a great job. There's no comparison. There isn't. My only issue again is that injury he had at Luton. It hasn't even been a whole year yet, and that's an injury players usually don't come back from that quickly. So if Glasner is going to take your time with him, I have no problem with that, because you don't want to rush him. Because if he has a setback, yes, we have Lerma and Hughes, but you already see what Hughes and what Decore and Wharton can be. Why rush it? So for me, if he's not ready to start on Saturday, don't start him.
Yeah, I think another big thing is Wharton. Wharton's going to hopefully be fit. He's had this break, which he needed. Of course, he didn't join the England under-21s where he was initially called up for them, which was a big news for us, because you saw it in the Chelsea game. Like he hasn't looked 100% fit. He's had a problem. So Wharton and Decore starting together against Leicester. That's my dream scenario. I honestly think both of them are going to be fantastic, and they complement each other's games, brilliantly as well. So it makes a lot of sense. Now the real debate up top. What do we do? Patrick mentioned it. It was a juicy part. He did say, do we change the system for Nketiah? Do we need to change the system for Nketiah? Do you think Nketiah can fit into the number 10 role? Or do you really just see him playing up front alongside Mateta?
I think he could do it. I think he could. And I say that because he's mobile enough. He's good with the ball at his feet. I think he's a good enough passer to do it. Once again, I think it just comes down to how Glasner views him. Does Glasner see him being able to do that? Because sliding him back into that 10 role, then I guess you could say, for lack of a better phrase, kind of log jams that position a little bit, because you've got Kamada now and you've got Sarr there, and now you're going to have him there. So it puts a lot of competition there. But then there's also, like we said, there's a possibility that you make a slight shift to the system, and maybe you play 2 10s, or play 2 9s, or a 9 and what you would call like a shadow or support striker, and maybe have Nketiah in that role. So I think the best part about this, even though we don't know which way it's going to go, is the fact that we have the ability to do it. I honestly think starting out, we'll probably stay with our system. So I think we'll probably stay with the dual 10s, and you'll probably see us stay with Eze and Kamada in those 10 roles, with Mateta up top, and Nketiah maybe comes off the bench in this first match, and maybe we'll see some changes down the road. But
what I like about the potential system changes, remember when Glasner first came in, and he said 70% of the first week was just in meetings and talking with the players about how he wants to play and really drilling that in. So we know that he's got, and how quickly did he make the impact? We thought it'd be 7 or 8 games, but what was it, 3 or 4 before we went on that run? So we know that Glasner is good at putting new ideas into the squad. So there could be a way to shift it up even during a game, because we've seen at times we've gone 4 at the back, haven't we, and just pushed somebody else up. So
yeah, I mean, there is a possibility. I wouldn't be against Nketiah maybe coming off the bench in this game. When we're talking about new players, as like an impact sub. For now, look, Kamada. A lot of eyes have been on him, Patrick. I don't know what you thought about Kamada's performances so far, but against Chelsea, I think he had moments where he looked much better than he did in his previous games so far for Palace. Like, he's improved. I'm seeing improvement. So I wouldn't be against Kamada starting and Nketiah coming off the bench in a game like this.
I want Kamada to start. I have no problem already. Kamada's playing. He's getting used to the players. He had a goal against Norwich. He played well against Chelsea. I mean, he had a great shot when Munoz set him up. He's played the last 2 games just now. Just now he played. Japan played today as time recording in a World Cup qualifier. He started both matches during this break, so he might be a little bit tired, but he'll be back probably by Thursday, I guess, before the game.
Yeah, Thursday,
he should be okay, right? So no, I don't want to force players to play in positions they're not used to playing. Like, Again, I like Loma playing centre back, but he's not centre back. I like Klein playing it, but he's not centre back. I like Nketiah, but he's not a number 10. I want to see Nketiah as a striker. I want to see players play where they naturally play. To me, they thrive that way. Kamada is a number 10. You mentioned before about Lacroix knowing Glasner. That's why Kamada's here. He knows the system too. So for me, let him play. If he doesn't go well, again, that's why you have Nketiah. Change the system up, etc. But for me, I don't see why you're going to force Nketiah to try and start a game in a position where he's not familiar with when you've got a natural number 10 in Kamada. I don't want him at number 8 or in the 6. Put him at number 10. He's getting. I noticed also he's getting a much better communication with Munoz. He's getting better and better as each game goes. Let's just keep it going. So for me, a Leicester home game in front of the home crowd is a great game to just keep it as it is and hopefully score a goal and have a couple of assists.
It's a good point there, Patrick, about the getting used to the Premier League from the German league, which is what Lacroix's got to do as well. So do you, on top of that, throwing 2 new faces in, you're going to have one face that's never even played in the Premier League. So just to go back, you're even wronger than I thought you was.
I didn't even say, and if I said Chalobah, I even made an argument about Chalobah.
You said Lacroix and Chalobah to start, didn't you?
He did say both with Nick. Don't let him backtrack. He did say both.
I did also say the point that Chalobah's got more Premier League experience than Lacroix, so it did not make sense for Chalobah to start despite Lacroix knowing Glasner. But yeah, I mean, let's see what happens with Nketiah. But also we've got familiar faces. Well, familiar face. Odsonne Edouard, I guess, will be still traveling back to Selhurst Park. But he won't be able to feature. But Jordan Ayew, I watched a bit of Leicester, and I think Patrick has as well when we spoke. I watched the first game of the season against Tottenham, and I watched the game against Villa. Their midfield is questionable, I'll be honest. Winks playing as like a deep line playmaker. You got Ndidi as a number 10. And you got Steve Cooper as a manager who prefers to play the defensive approach, and we've seen that against Forest. I don't know about you lot, but I think this game plan really suits into what we can do with our creative players, especially, if they do try to play it up from the back, which I think they will do because they haven't got any major tall players unless he plays Ndidi as a 10 again, because Vardy can't head the ball, and Ayew would be coming back, of course. We'll mention him quickly, but just quickly, just systematically, I don't know what you lot think about the game, but I think this game kind of suits into our hands, especially at Selhurst Park.
Well, one thing you did mention, D, was the fact that their defense might be worse than both of the things that you mentioned.
Yeah,
Their center backs are not good.
I don't know about Okoli. I think it's called Okoli.
I mean, he's a younger new guy to the Premier League, but the Wout Faes dude is.
He's just trash. He's been like that, but. Okoli's got I kind of like what I saw from him in the Villa game. He seems a bit raw, but he's got physical ability. He seems quite fast as well, so that's one to look out for. But yeah, I mean, it's not a great side, is it? T, like when you look at the defense, it's not great. The midfield of Oliver, Skip, Harry Winks, and Ndidi lacking creativity, and on the left, Ayew. On the right hand side, I believe his name is Fatwa.
Fatawu,
yeah. He's a very good player. I think that's where
we were actually interested in him before Leicester got him.
And I can see him being a future Palace player. When watching him, I can see him like he's got that flair in terms of even cutting in from the right hand side. I think that's the one area that we, have to seriously look at to try and stop. And that's the area which we've conceded a lot of goals in so far this season, down the left hand side or the opposition's right. Are we slightly concerned about that threat, especially with the goals that we've conceded so far this season?
Well, if Glasner's done his homework, then we'll try and shut that threat down, won't we? Surely we'll have the cover, and whoever's playing that side centre back or that side of midfield, we'll just have to support Mitchell. And if he is their only danger player, although they've got Ayew now, he says with his tongue in his cheek. Leicester fans, I've had a look at their forums before. They seem to like 3 defensive midfielders, which is interesting. And they tend to sit back and only try to go forwards in games at a later stage, almost like the Roy Hodgson way of seemingly trying to knacker out the other team before we actually do anything to them. So none of them want Ayew to start, which is interesting. And Vardy's not on any of the starting lists that Leicester supporters have put up.
And Vardy will be starting. They've got no other options.
No choice.
Is out injured. Odsonne Edouard can't play. Vardy started games because of that reason. So Vardy will be starting. Ayew should be on the left unless they change it up. The interesting thing is Ndidi. If they play Ndidi as a number 10 again, because I think that plays into our favour because he's not number 10.
He's not getting any younger, Vardy, is he? Because he was quite old when he joined Leicester from non-league. How old is he now? Do we know? 30?
37.
He still loves a goal at Crystal Palace. I don't care how old
he can still score, but is he going to last the 90 minutes?
He can't. That's the problem. Check out the opposition preview. It's out now. But when speaking to Locks, he did say that Vardy's struggling. That's why they brought in Odsonne Edouard because Daka's out injured as well. He might go for 60 minutes or so, but he can't really start Premier League games. He'll naturally just fade away as the game goes on. So, look, I think we've go on, Patrick.
No, I have a non-related question about Edouard. Finish your point. I want to talk about Edouard for a second since you just
I think we've got enough in our squad. I think Jordan Ayew is a good player, but we should have enough. We should have enough to beat Leicester, and we'll go into score predictions after what Patrick says about Edouard.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if you noticed, we signed him to an extension, but it's not a 1 year; it's like a 2-year extension.
3 year, yeah. Right? Well, he's got a 3-year deal at the club, so hopefully he gets his value up.
Right,
and score some goals at Leicester, and then afterwards maybe we can put in get a cheeky bid for him. But yeah, so he missed their last game against Villa because it was right after deadline day, and he'll miss this game as well. So he's had a few weeks now to kind of adjust to life at Leicester and impress the people in the training ground.
And I was thinking also, obviously, like you just said, I didn't realize you're right. They have no other striker besides Vardy, and Vardy will not play 38 matches. So he's going to play a lot. He's going to play a lot more than he played at Palace. So if he scores a lot of goals, it's just a way to decide to either sell him or keep him. Because again, if let's say he scores 15 and they stay up, you might want to say,
20?
Yeah. So
25 million, maybe. It might. 15 will be crazy. So exactly. So let's see what happens. But let's go into score predictions now. I'll start off. I'm not going to even go political. I'm just going to go straight onwards. 2-0 Palace win. We should be winning this game with all due respect. The international break, as we've said, should have helped us out. Players should be coming back from injury, new players, understanding the manager a bit better, sorting out 1 or 2 issues that's been annoying us, such as with Wharton and Mateta, etc., with the rest. So yeah, we should be ready for this game. It's at home. I'm expecting a clean sheet, and Leicester will be sitting back, and maybe they attack us after they concede a goal. And I think we've got enough. We've got enough in our side to unlock Leicester. Let's go around, T.
Now you said 3-1?
No, 2-0.
2-0. Okay, I'll go 3-1.
3-1? You don't think we keep a clean sheet?
Who knows? Jordan Ayew scores against.
Surely not.
I'm calling it. It can't be Edouard. I'm calling Jordan Ayew, and he's not gonna celebrate. I don't think he's gonna celebrate.
You better not. Imagine he celebrates against Palace. That'd be hilarious. Nick?
4-0.
Yeah,
and if anybody claps Ayew, I'm going to punch them until after the game. Not before the game. After the game, they can.
I know this is going to go. Patrick, you're going to clap Ayew.
I'm going to clap him. So don't come over to don't come to the main stand because that's where I'll be. Next.
Can you do like a QPR vlog so I can see what? After Patrick, that's what I do. I think this will be great content. But
no, because Ayew doesn't play for QPR. We won't be next to each other. Patrick will be in a different stand. I'll have forgotten all about it by the end of the game.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Patrick and Ezra's going to get 2 of those, by the way.
Yeah, he's been slowly building up to his form. Patrick?
So how does this work now? Because you took my score D first.
You can say whatever. Like if you think it's going to be 2-0, you can say it as well.
But then T took my next score 3-1.
So, just say,
but what happens is
the score?
No, wait, because people in the comments always say, "Well, you only did it because," but you know what I mean. I don't want to get the same score as you. I don't want, you know what I mean. So,
there's always going to be talking.
I know. I'm gonna go 3-0 then because I'm gonna go 3-0. I actually think I was going to score, and I wouldn't cheer him if he did. But I'm gonna go 3-0 since T took my 3-1. But I think we'll score at least 3 goals. I think Nketiah will get his. Nketiah will come on. He'll go with Edouard. He'll come on his debut, score a goal, and then won't score for a long, long time after that.
I think Oh, he's going to score, and I'm going to go 3-0. I'm confused, Patrick.
No, I said he's going to score, but I said I changed it because T took 3-1.
He said
Oh,
So I'm
originally
going to go with
thought
3-0
that
now.
Ayuk
Originally, it was going to be that way.
Patrick
So just
forgot
to be
that
clear,
Ayuk is cold. Yeah.
to be clear, I'm going to go 3-0 Palace. Ayew will not score, and Nketiah will score in his debut.
The fact that you
So-
didn't get to Odsonne Edwards,
it
I mean, we'll
sounds
be
like-
here in a few weeks' time when we talk about should Mateta be starting or what do you think? What do we think about Mateta being an impact option off the bench? I mean, those conversations will be hilarious in a few weeks' time, Patrick.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mateta gets 2. You just said that. Mateta gets 2 and Nketiah gets 1. How about that? Take that.
And then we wake up and then we all go to the game. Okay, let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below. And your thoughts as well ahead of the game. The Palace are back. We're all excited. As you can see, even from our score prediction and the conversation, it is exciting times. Hopefully, typical Palace doesn't happen and we do get the result. But if you have enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe. And until next time, up the Palace.